Welcome to the VA Today pod and videocast with your host, Gail Alexander, a podcast about VAs, for VAs, and businesses looking for the right VA to help to start grow their business. Find the right VA today and visit VA Today on YouTube and ava-ni.com to find out more about VAs and what they can do for you, and get in touch with the virtual assistants you need today.
Hi everyone, and welcome today to the VA Today with me, Gail Alexander, and today I'm joined with Gemma Gormley of Gemma Gormley Virtual Assistant. Now Gemma joins us all the way from Thailand, and I will try and hide the fact that I am not, or that I am jealous, because I am sitting here in a cold, grey, bung with a cold day in Northern Ireland, and she's sitting there in Thailand, so I will try and pretend that I'm not jealous at all, but I can't promise.
I'll try not to rub it in.
So thank you very much for joining us, because you keep sitting at the beach rather than talking to me. Anyway, so Gemma is originally from Cardona, isn't that right, in Ireland? And has travelled quite a bit around the world doing work before setting properly up as a virtual assistant. So if you just want to sort of go through your journey really to being a VA, I know you've worked in Belfast, in Canada, back and forth between Ireland and Canada. So just tell us a wee bit about your journey to VA in Thailand.
Yeah, no problem. So basically I started as an administrator about 20 years ago after I did like a business admin course for a couple of years. Then I lived in Dublin. I kind of managed to get in with a hospital there. And so kind of my journey started then as administrator, but also primarily working in the health industry. After working there for about 5 or 6 years, I moved over to Canada. Vancouver.
Oh,
yeah.
Haven't been down
I went over there for like a 1-year working holiday visa, and then I fell in love and stayed for 10 years. And
and a long working holiday.
Get rid of me. And there I was working mostly again for the health industry. Spent many years working for the provincial health authority in many different roles, but always an administrator for kind of senior management, assisting senior management and stuff like that. Then I moved to Thailand to teach, just to take a break and do something different. Fell in love with Thailand, didn't so much fall in love with the teaching. Went back to Canada, started to work as an admin again, realized that it wasn't the place I wanted to be. It was just too cold, and I felt like I wanted to be back in Thailand. And so just doing some research, I didn't want to go back to teaching. And so just from researching and trying to find out what my options could be, I kind of came across the word virtual assistant. And I thought, oh, well, that's perfect for me, because I love admin. I can't really, because I don't speak Thai, I can't really work as an administrator over here. So why not just start up my own business and do that from here? And yeah, so that's kind of what started my whole journey to becoming a VA. So since May, I've been figuring it all out. So I've been doing it for about 5 months now.
Yeah. So right enough, I'm not overly long started myself officially since the 1st of January. Yes, I was a SATO doing my website on New Year's Eve, and I have 2 kids. I have no life. So that's when I started. But yeah, I was kind of doing the work, sort of research, administrative work, that kind of thing, for longer than that. So it's probably about a year now. But you've such a wealth of experience in like the administrative role and in different countries as well as sort of different industries. So you've also worked for the utility regulator in Belfast.
That's it. Yeah. That's
And
great.
then financial admin assistant for Vancouver, as well as in the health industry. So I'm guessing that sort of different industry in different countries gives you a really good background in working with different cultures and different ways of doing things. You know, maybe how we do it in Ireland is different to how you do it in Canada, different to how you do it in Thailand. So, and obviously you're very good at your job, because I think I've one quote here is you're saying you're superbly well organized, efficient and knowledgeable, never failing, and a cheery disposition. Can't ask better than that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, it's great. It's good to be like to be able to be kind of living in different places. It forces you to have to, pick up somewhere new in a new position, so you're constantly expanding your skills. You never get too bored doing the same thing year in, year out, because you're constantly trying to learn new things and adapt yourself to new environments.
I think that's one thing I've talked on with a lot of other virtual assistants is it's constantly learning, constantly teaching, and that's vital for the virtual assistant, or even any freelancer anyway, just to keep your skills up to date. And as you say, moving from country to country kind of forces you is not really the right word. It means you have to, but you're obviously going to do that because you want to. You wouldn't put yourself in that situation. So have you been, you're saying you're running your business for about 5 months now, and do you do that full time now, or is it just part time, or is it full time for you?
No, it's full time. Yeah, I had a position in Vancouver that I left at the very end of April, and a week later I was back in Thailand. So and kind of just and then I just started. I mean, I knew what I was going to do, but I hadn't really started it yet at that point, because I was working full time, and so I just started researching, started building up my profiles, and I'm doing it full time. Like I'm 100% kind of on it now. Yeah, so it's great.
So you're saying you're on it full time. Have you taken any specific training to be a virtual assistant? So either business training to set up the business, or virtual assistant training. Is there any specific training that you've done for this new role?
Not at the moment. I haven't been doing any actual to train to be a VA. I'm part of so I have a subscription to an online library of training courses, lynda.com, which is really good. You know it, yeah. They're brilliant. I feel like I've learned most of the stuff from that. The admin side of things is fine. I'm quite a professional at that part, but the setting up of the business is the challenge, and figuring out where I need to go with that.
Yeah, so I think getting for anyone starting up, that would have been my recommendation as well, because doing the sort of tasks, so for me it was slightly different. I was changing industry from being a geographic researcher to social media digital marketing, so I've taken a long time learning those skills along the way. So I've been lucky about 2 years now doing that, but actually to set myself up as a virtual assistant, doing a little bit of business training helped no end, because I never run my own business. So I think for somebody that's just setting up, that would be what I would definitely suggest. And if you can, and time willing, and you feel you need to, virtual assistant specific training as well, because that kind of helps you find your customers specifically for you. There's a lot of training out there, with a lot in the UK and obviously around the world as well. But that would have been my sort of the way I had started. But you're obviously, having worked in an administrative assistant for a long time, kind of know what you're at there.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because when it's like half of it to a T, and then the other half you're kind of like, I'm not sure. So I'm just kind of learning, and then I figure maybe in the months to come I'll know kind of where to what training and specifically that I want to take, where my weak areas are. But until then I'm just kind of like trying to figure it all out and getting my feet on the ground. Yeah.
So in terms of clients, have you managed to secure any clients at the moment that you're working with, or are you still just building up, setting up the business and doing the research?
Yeah, I've managed to get one client who actually works in the health industry, which is
Perfect.
Seems to be the route that I'm going. Yes. So so I have got she's a health and wellness coach, and she's based in California. So that's been really good. Yeah, so that's been really great to get that, and I kind of got it after a couple of months of starting, so I was pretty chuffed with that. I have some other potential leads coming up, or like consultations set up for coming weeks with people that are also in the health industry. So I'm hoping that something comes out of that also. Yeah, I think it's just going to take me a while until I have that client base and things kind of go straight rather than, like this. What about you? Like, how long did it take you till you felt like you were on your feet? And
it's sort of my journey was slightly different in the way that it happened, because I was made redundant from a job that the company, it was a global company, restructured. And so at that time I was like, okay, what am I doing? And so I knew I wanted to move into marketing. It was something I'd always wanted to do. So I had taken the time to do some voluntary work to gain experience within a startup company, an award-winning startup company in Northern Ireland, and volunteering for a women's empowerment group, Lean In, Belfast. And so I've been doing that for a year, and along the way, just through contacts through that work, people started going, oh, could you do this wee bit of work? Could you do this wee bit of work? And I'm like, right, okay, I could do that. And then it was suggested to me, you could be a VA. And I'm like, right, okay, what is a VA? Like, what is a VA? But right, okay, yes, I can do that. And it's just been through word of mouth. And for me, it is sort of different as well, because I have 2 young kids. So I am only able to take on the client I have at the moment and then doing this project and still learning the way. But I'm happy and I'm confident, and once my kids are fully settled, that's when I'll move into full time. So I am fairly settled now myself, but it's taken about 4 or 5 months. But it is a completely different setup for me. But then every virtual assistant, it's very different. And then, and you're talking about sort of niching. You seem to be finding yourself in the sort of healthcare sort of industry. And is that just because of your past work experience?
Yeah, like it's kind of, whenever it's tough, whenever you get started, like I was doing all this reading and everyone was like, get your niche. And I was like, oh, I don't know what my niche is. Like, I don't really want to target one particular area, because I want to kind of experience other areas as well. But it just seems to be that when I get contacts, they seem to come through the health industry. And I know that it's because of my experience with the health industry. Obviously, that is something that is good for people, that have, if you need somebody in that. So it seems to be happening again. But that's good, because there's a reason why I've always or mostly worked in the health industry, because I like it, so it suits me perfectly too. It's just kind of happened. Yeah, I didn't do it intentionally, but it just seems to be happening.
I think it's sometimes where you find yourself heading. Because it depends who you talk to. Now, a lot of people say, niche down. Other people say, no, don't restrict yourself. Be a generalist. So generally, I think depends on what your passions are, what you prefer. Or even just setting up as a generalist for the first wee while and then finding out really what you enjoy. Because for me, I have the last sort of 6 months gone, it was like a light bulb moment for me when I did a course on mobile video making. I was just like, oh my goodness, I love this. Video was so up and coming, but I really enjoyed it. It was something I could find I could do, and I've just literally thrown myself into it. Hence this video project.
Yeah.
So it's kind of narrowed itself down of an organic way, where
Yeah.
I found myself plus five. It helps that I love to talk.
That is good.
Always a bonus. Now, whether I talk about decent things, that's another story, but sure. So
Yeah.
I think, when you're starting out, if you have been
Yeah.
working in a certain area, then yeah, go for that. But if you find yourself, not enjoying it so much, well,
Mm.
look at what you really enjoy. What are your passions? And then sort of map out what it would take to go down that route. If that is coaching in that area, if it's mentoring in that area, if it's specific
Mhm.
training in, heaven forbid, it would be bookkeeping. That sounds really bad. It's just my bag. But for some people, it totally is. But if that's something you want to do, well,
Yeah.
go for it. There's plenty of
Mhm.
tools out there and ways to learn, but you can keep doing what you're doing until you get the
Yeah.
experience in an area that you want to. Because I think for the virtual assistant industry, it's really important that you find an area of work that you enjoy, because
Right.
it's quite isolating.
Mhm.
Working on your own, you really want to be
Mhm.
enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
True. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
yeah. I'm just going to
Um.
apologise to anyone watching this. I am bunged up with a cold, and hence why I have my hot drink here, because my throat hurts, but I sound really stuffy. Um, so
Oh.
you've obviously been in Thailand before, but you've been back and
Yeah.
forth between like Ireland and Canada and Thailand.
Mhm.
Have you sort of set yourself up with like a network, like friends, work colleagues, or are you finding yourself a wee bit isolated because you're working, on your own pretty much from home? Have you found yourself
Yeah.
isolated at all?
No, I haven't. I have because the place that I live in Thailand is Chiang Mai, and it's
Fairly
kind
big.
of the sorry.
Fairly big.
Yeah, it's the very northern city in Thailand, and it's kind of like the digital nomad hub of one of the best in the world, where many people come here to work on their own businesses and stuff like that. And so I'm really lucky because I have so many great places to work in outside of my home.
Yeah.
There's great co-working stations. There's great coffee shops. And they're set up really, really nicely as well. It's not a plastic stool and computer on the lap. It's very, very beautiful, well thought out places. And so yeah, if I want to be on my own and I really need to focus, I tend to just work from my home. But most of the time I like to just get up in the morning and pack my stuff and head off and go sit in a coffee shop or a co-working station and chat to people, do my work. It's a great way to network as well. Many people are kind of working on their own businesses here too.
Yeah.
And then there's also all the people that I know from my jobs in Vancouver and Ireland working in the health industry. And I have many kind of contacts through that. So I'm kind of always, kept up to date on everything. So yeah, I never feel too lonely, which is good.
Yeah. No,
Because I
that's
think, what do you find? Whenever, did you find, I know some people are kind of, I think you work from home. Do you work from home quite a lot?
I do now. The past month in
Yeah.
September, back to school. No, I did find myself in the library quite a bit. The library was actually really good.
Oh yeah, the library's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
free, always a bonus, and it's fairly quiet. Um,
Yeah.
and then just because where I live outside of Belfast, but if I had been
Yeah.
in Belfast, there are, as you say, co-working spaces, and
Right.
quite similar to, I guess, to Chiang Mai. The setup is quite a lot of freelancers are, setting up their own business. They're coming from the same sort of direction that you are. And I think Chiang Mai, there's a
Yeah.
lot of Australians from,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah. So they're all sort of in the same mindset, and so that you can bounce
Yeah.
ideas off. So for me, I would love to have a co-working space that I could go and work in, 1 or 2, 3 days a week, and then work from home other days. Just again, it helps work-life
Yeah.
balance, kids, whatever
Yeah.
else. And as you say, some days it's the peace
Yeah.
and quiet to get stuff done.
Yeah.
But I do think for anyone starting out, if they have the opportunity, even though you're a virtual assistant, but if you can have that sort of co-working space hub, just even to have other people around you to even ask questions is actually really invaluable.
Yeah,
So now that we've talked about Chiang Mai, you will hear all these massive running footsteps to people going to find their passport and moving to Thailand, because that's a place to go. Yeah, we'll set up there, and we can, as you say, you can work your clients not even in Southeast Asia; they're in another continent.
I know, it's great. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I know. I thought, like, starting out, I thought, oh, is the time zone going to be an issue? If I'm working with people in the, North America, there's like a 14-hour time difference, but it's really doesn't seem to be an issue at all. It's if you kind of set your work schedule where they know I'm going to be working kind of from the morning to the afternoon. They know when they wake up in the morning, there's going to be work there for them, right?
And I guess that just depends on you and your client. Once you set out that schedule at the start, that it's a clear sort of boundary about when to expect stuff to get done, and it shouldn't make difference unless they need something urgently, and then that's something that you can talk about from the offset anyway.
That's it.
So have you had, or are you looking for any clients locally, and what way have you reached out to them? What way have you searched for clients specific for you?
Yeah, I mean, I joined a few kind of Chiang Mai networking groups, posted like on Facebook. I've gone to they're like language exchanges and stuff like that to try and just get the word out and just say that I'm a virtual assistant. I also I got my logo made. I put it on a sticker, and I stuck it on the back of my Mac, of my computer. And so when I'm at the co-working stations, I have you have your laptop up, and so I have a logo saying virtual assistant. I haven't been approached yet, but maybe one day it'll work in my favor. I just had this brainwave one day and I ran with it.
Just little things, like, because when people say virtual assistant, they'll go, what is that?
That's right, Jen, you have to explain.
I know, anytime what do you do? Right, okay, what is that exactly? So it is actually a good talking point, so I guess that's another way to doing it. And I know that's how I found past clients, and my client now has been referrals and through word of mouth. So even though you're working potentially with clients that are in separate locations, different locations, still word of mouth is, and referrals are one of the best ways to get clients.
Yeah, that's true.
So you were saying about you're finding yourself sort of being niching down towards the health industry. Have you thought about any sort of parallel industries like yoga providers or sort of Pilates instructors, or because obviously you're in that part of the world that people are going to come to holidays. Having spent a lot of time on holiday in Singapore, I know the area. Never been to Thailand, but I've been around that area quite a bit. That's the kind of area that those type of people tend to go to for retreats. Those type of people. Have you kind of thought about, it's it's not exactly the same, but it's a similar industry that the skills that you have transfer to?
Yeah, exactly. And that's it's definitely something that I've thought about that I'd be very open to. I've also been thinking about working for like travel and stuff, things that you kind of have hobbies in as well. Like travel is a huge hobby of mine, and I've traveled to lots of places. So there's like, think about things that, as you were like bringing it back to what you were saying earlier, like things that you love to do. Keep it kind of with stuff that you like.
I think that's a kind of a passion as well for mine would be, travel, but I would be very specific to Northern Ireland. I am totally biased, I will admit, but I do love it here, and that would eventually be somewhere I would love to see myself. But as you say, you've traveled a lot, so you're obviously going to have that local knowledge for travelers from abroad, or even local ones, to be able to suggest, places to stay, places to go, places to eat. And I think people don't realize that that's another service virtual assistants can do, and advertise. So it's again worth reaching out to the local travel firms, but also in different countries. You know, especially Ireland. Reaching out to the Irish sort of travel firms and saying, right, well, I'm based out here, so I can help set up any sort of excursions out here. And people always like to know recommendations from maybe they don't know, but they can associate with. It's like, oh, there's an Irish person out there, right, I'll talk to them. Rather than
where's the Irish pub?
Well, yeah, there's always one. You don't need anyone to tell you that you fall over them. Having traveled through Dubai airport, the only pub that was there was an Irish one. I just went, this is beyond just silliness, but stereotype, but yeah, exactly. You know, people will always be from back home. If they can reach out to somebody that's from home, they're going to do that. So it's another.
It's just I mean, there's so many avenues if you look into it, and if you just put your mind to it. If you're a little bit creative, it's just there's just so many things that you can do, and so many like places where you can put your business. It's really exciting when you start thinking about it.
So you have been back out in Thailand for the last wee while. Do you see yourself permanently based there?
I would consider, I guess like part of me wants to work and travel, because I kind of plan to go spend some time in Vietnam after this. To do month to month, and maybe spend a few months there, and then I really want to go to like Bali, which is meant to be a great place to work and beautiful place as well, and cheap. So I'd like to go there for a while, and so I just kind of see myself just going wherever kind of I feel like going to. But I think that Chiang Mai will be my base. I think that I'll spend most of the year based here. It's very comfortable and great places to live. It's beautiful weather all year round. So I definitely see this as my base, but I definitely can see myself working and traveling for a good part of the year as well.
Yeah, and I think there's another term that a lot of people use, it's the digital nomad. And I think people have the idea that it's, they're sitting on the beach, not doing anything and working away. It's not quite like that, but it does mean that, the tools that we have nowadays, that people can do that, and their work still of a required high standard. Plus the fact it gives them more of a worldly view on things. I think, well, again, I'm just biased. I'm a geography student, and just having been very fortunate to have been traveling with previous jobs and holidays and whatever else, I think when you get outside of your comfort zone and outside your own area, you do see things in a very different light. It opens up your eyes to different way of doing things. I think it makes you more empathetic and more flexible as well to working cultures, because you realize, and I've talked about with other virtual assistants, the way people do things in America varies from the UK, varies greatly from Italy. Having worked in all three of those countries, I know the working culture is very, very different, and what they expect of you and what everyone does. So I think if you're able to do it, traveling is actually kind of beneficial.
I think that when you say digital nomad, sometimes people kind of think about a 20-year-old on their gap year, and but it's not the same. It's quite different, it's the digital nomads are highly skilled professionals who find a love of travel, and they want to work and do it at the same time. And that's what it is, really, if you break it down. And it's a reason why a lot of people come here to start their own business, because it is a kind of inexpensive place to do it, when you're starting out as well. But I think that the fact that there's the coffee shops and the co-working stations here are full all day, in the evenings people tend to go home, and you'll go to the swimming pool, and you'll have your go swimming and relax for a while. But you do tend to spend, it's a job at the end of the day, and and you are working for a good, just like everyone else. It's just that you have the beauty of doing it in a different country if you want, right?
Yeah, I think it's and it's increasingly doing so. It's just businesses and people changing their mindset to finding employees that are still highly skilled, because if they weren't highly skilled, they wouldn't be able to do that traveling. They wouldn't be able to afford to do it. You know, they're obviously very good at their job, what they do, because they can manage it, gain clients, get paid, and then travel. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to afford to traveling. So I think it's changing the mindset of businesses that, and not all VAs do this, some do, some don't, that these are highly passionate, organized people, because they're able to do all this traveling and all this work at the same time. So they have to be actually highly organized and highly skilled at what they do, and obviously up to date with all the latest tools to allow them to do that. So talking about tools, are there any specific tools that you use, you know, with your client in the States? Is there anything that you use for communication, say, or project management? What is it that you would use?
I don't use, what do I use? I use like, I mean, there's so many ways to keep in touch. So, you know, we're both on Gmail. It's pretty basic. And we have WhatsApp and Skype and Zoom and all that stuff. What other, like the MS Office is huge. I use that all the time. So I'm always creating documents of some sort on that. Google Drive is really important for sharing files, especially large ones, and having some kind of virtual filing system together. What else do we use? What else? Can't think of anything else. Can you tell me what type of things, like what tools you use? I know we're kind of in a different area, but what's the type of stuff that you find?
Yeah, I'm quite similar. I use for file sharing would be Google Drive, Dropbox as well, and then WeTransfer. So if I want to transfer just one-off files, large files, that way, so as not to take up any usage space. Not that that's an issue. Communication skills. Well, my client's local, so it will be phone.
Right.
For doing this, it's like video conferencing, so I would use Zoom. Zoom's really good. Skype, if needs. I used it for donkey's years, but I tend to use Zoom for that. Then there's for project management. For some of the voluntary work, we've set up Trello boards where we share ideas, projects, and actions for people to do. Asana, I love for managing all the different elements of this video project. You know, what guests are potential, what guests have agreed, what stage we're at, where we have, you know, has the filming taken place, is it editing, is it scheduled to YouTube, whatever. Asana is really good for that. Although I do still love my physical sticky notes.
Oh, I know, you can't really.
But then there is like OneNote for, you know, the virtual version of that. But I'm still old school. It's with like all the sat nav things and trying to find places. I'm still old school. I love my map. But then I'm a job.
I know I like a map.
But I do have a massive map of Europe just right there, you know, and my pencil sharpener is a globe. I'm just a map geek. So, but there are so many different tools out there, like Slack I've used for communication, WhatsApp for the church group that I do. I help out with Creche and Youth Club there once a month, and we use WhatsApp. So it's funny how all these different tools are used in everyday usage, and for all generations as well. You know, I have a WhatsApp group with my parents and my sister.
Me too.
Generally, these tools are interchangeable between, you know, your life as well as your business, because it's so more, you know, it's instant and everything's shareable, and it does lend itself well to the virtual world, and it is increasingly a growing industry that businesses are looking into. You know, there's a lot of large global corporations that are starting to hire virtual assistants rather than hiring in temporary staff. So the industry is only going to grow.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll see so many other tools. I'm trying to think what else. There's Evernote. And
There's, do you know what I love is Canva?
I think
Do you
everyone
ever
loves
use
Canva. Canva. When I was
I just
introduced to it,
discovered that.
and then all the free tools that come from that. So Cover for video and Unsplash for pictures and Shutterstock and all the different free options. Because again, I think virtual assistants are kind of worried about paying for this.
Right.
You can set up with a free account, and if it's something that you really need, then pay for the next level up. But because for whom I pay for it, because I'm doing so many videos of a certain length, whereas the likes of Toggle, the basic version's fine for me at the moment. I love Toggle. Trying to sort of record my hours in specific projects, and it breaks it all down to me. It's a brilliant tool. I love it. Whatever else. So there's so many different tools out there.
There's just it's incredible. And whenever I started to kind of research VA work and what I was needed to do and stuff like that, it was just insane the amount of tools that there were, and it felt really overwhelming. And then I read somebody just said, don't feel like you have to know all of them.
Yeah.
Just learn as you go. When you have free time, do some training and things that are popping up that you think will be useful. That when you get a client, if you think that will be helpful with you and your client, then start using it and things like that. So it's overwhelming, but it's important to know that we don't need to know all of them. But
I think it's good to remember that you work with what your client wants as well. And if they suggest a tool to you, well, then you say, right, well, we'll learn this together and set it up so it's working the best way for both of you. And again, it'll change from client to client. What works for one doesn't work for another. But I think it's more about setting yourself up with the tools that you like for your business, because you're doing the work, but you are also a stakeholder in your business, and you're also the CEO of running that business. So it's making sure that you have the tools, the support, and the time to do all those roles, as opposed to just being the employee.
Yeah, and it's really, for me, it's just one small step at a time, just figuring it out, and make mistakes along the way, and you learn from them, and it's interesting. There's a lot.
There's a lot. Well, there's a lot to learn, but then a phrase I would hear a lot, you don't know what you don't know. So just go out and look around and ask in all these different things that you have. And, everyone's so supportive that they're going to give you a wee piece of advice or a little bit of help. It's a brilliant industry to be in, and especially in where you are, that sort of digital hub. People get it. They're all in the same background. Which is quite difficult for some VAs, being part of a group, I think, is really important, because quite often maybe their partners, their families, whoever else, just don't quite understand the pressures of, one, setting up your own business, two, the virtual industry world, how the setup is. So being part of a group, a virtual assistants group, or executive assistant, or personal assistant, or freelancer, whatever similar, being part of that group allows you to access that support. People understand it and people get it. That would be another sort of, I think, must for any sort of startup VA, I would think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you do. And I was actually happily surprised at how supportive the VA network is. Everyone's super nice to each other. Everybody's very supportive and always ready to help. And it's really nice to be part of, it feels like you're part of a community.
Yeah, very much so. It's sort of our digital virtual colleagues is the way I see it.
It really feels like that. And it's really nice to have that, because it's one thing, when you go from working in an office with a bunch of people and then you're out on your own, it's nice to know that you have a support and a backup somewhere to help you along, which is something that I wasn't expecting or didn't think that I needed when I started, and then I find that, I need this.
And it's really nice to have, just even on a personal level, not just business. So it is, as you say, such a supportive and really nice network. I'm so glad that I'm now in this world. So
Yeah.
lastly, I would sort of ask, what would well, you've already talked about, you see yourself traveling a bit, excuse me.
Mhm.
What are your main sort of goals for, say, the next year, 5 years? Have you set yourself any goals, or are you just running with
Yeah.
where you are at the moment and then set them?
Well, I'm kind of obviously like taking one day at a time with the business, but I feel like I'm in this for the long term. I feel like I want to do this for the next 20 years, right? It just like I want to create a solid business, VA business. I want to set up like a strong kind like client base for myself, and have a good relationship, long-term relationship with a group of clients, and just have that and run with that. And that's kind of where my focus is. And I'm just being patient and just building relationships at the moment, and hoping that it will start to flourish like in time. Yeah.
I think that is sort of one point to remember is, it can take a wee bit of time, because you are building a relationship, like, because you're not selling a sort of a tangible product, you're selling a service, and you are that service. So making sure that you have good foundations, you're comfortable in what you're doing, and you can build up that trust with your client, because you have to like who your client is, as well as vice versa. I think remembering that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I knew before going into it that it was going to take time, and it's going to take that, and I know that. And it's anytime a VA a VA would contact me, I just started, what advice do you have? And that's the one thing I always say is you have to give it time.
Yeah.
You can't after 2 weeks go, oh no, this isn't working. It takes longer than that. Well, for some people, maybe it'll work straight away.
Well, it depends on you. Because mine, it's taking longer, but then that's kind of the way I want it to, just because of my family setup and whatever else. So again, it's just
right.
Works for you.
Yeah.
But so I hope to hear, basically, in the future, that you have set yourself up as the working VA, the person to go to in Chiang Mai, and anytime we're out there, we'll come and visit.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good to hear from you. And I hope that, because this kind of chat's been slightly different to all the other sort of interviews I had, it's more like an online coaching, which has been really good for me, because it's made me, I think, clarify a few more points in my own head, because I'm not far ahead of you, really. So I hope what we've talked about today has helped you, move along. And of course, and like I would say to anyone watching, is just reach out if you have any questions. Reach out to me, the wider VA world. Everyone will have an answer, or a bit of help. But thank you very much for taking time to have a chat today. And I hope to.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me to join this. I'm really excited to be part of it, and I can't wait to see how it all turns out for you. I wish you lots of luck with the project. I think it will be brilliant, and well done for doing it. Such a great idea.
Sticking my head out. We'll see how we go. Thanks very much, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah. Okay. Take care, Gail.
You too.